Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, now in our 5th season, looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club. My name is Benjamin Bloom. You're tuned into the flagship show, available each and every week on video and audio. So for sometimes irreverent but always informative hour or more of football conversation. Make your Monday a Blue Monday, a Sunday morning. It's 2020. I can't really see, but it's David Diamond. What's up, Dave?
Good, mate. How are you? How are you?
Well, honestly, I'm probably about 8 pounds heavier than I should be. Yeah,
you're full of that vegetarian nut roasty type stuff.
Well, I got down to an acceptable weight after the summer holidays, and I put it back on.
If you can't binge eat over Christmas, when can you binge eat? And you're probably someone like you've probably got a bit of the post-Christmas blues as well, because aren't you, I say it, aren't you back at work tomorrow?
I'm back to work tomorrow. Ooh. My sleep patterns are all up the swanny. Normally it's the short, sharp shock treatment, isn't it? You just accept that for one day you're going to be really tired. But I always think it's kind of like, when you have to catch a flight to go on holiday, it's easy to get up. So, because you're like, I don't want to be late and all of that gubbins. But it's going to be a long day.
Much gigging over Christmas? You must have done you usually do. Do you do New Year's Eve this year?
I did my standard New Year's gig. I've done the same one for 3 years, which is in Swaffham. Is that Norfolk or Suffolk, Dave? I think it's
that is as Norfolk can be, my friend.
I always struggle with that Suffolk Norfolk, because like Lowestoft is not in
Lowestoft. That's not in Norfolk. That's
in Suffolk, and it all gets a bit confusing. But
no, Swaffham, I can categorically say, is definitely in Norfolk.
Yeah, so I know where I'll probably be next New Year's, but someone who doesn't know where they'll be next New Year's is Luke Garbutt. Leo Neal has spoken a little bit. I suppose we better talk about football in the end, Dave. That's what the people want. Maybe they don't.
I don't know if they do.
We've had many of these over the 5 years.
This does take me back. So it's just gone 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and this takes me back, 3 or 4 years, Ben. Although we'd have been doing it around yours, of course.
Chicago. Leo Neal commented a little bit on the Luke Garbutt situation, saying they haven't necessarily heard from Everton what is going to happen. I guess the contract is up at the end of the season, Dave. So the doomsday scenario, as I like to say, is that he plays well, he has a good season here, and then maybe it's a sort of like a bottom 8 or a bottom half championship team might want to take him. Is there any kind of deal that can be done ahead of time with Everton that wouldn't involve,
why would they do it?
Much of a payment, or how do you see this one playing out, and what are the chances of actually getting Garbutt? Because it strikes me the best decision Garbutt can make is to do absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
Sit tight. Until the end of the season.
Look, let's face it, he's come in, he's having a good season. He's been certainly one of the bright spots of our season. I think we said before, remember, we saw him play at Fulham 2 or 3 seasons ago, I think, when Sears scored that 10-second goal.
You're just a left foot pervert, though, aren't you, Dave?
I am a bit of a left foot perv, I must admit. Yeah, a well-balanced left foot. And he has got, he has... sometimes defensively, I think he's a bit naive, and personally, I think Champion, I'd like to see perhaps Kenlock playing there and him playing further forward, because I think he's got a lot more to offer further forward. But he's had a very good season. What's he got? 5-6 goals now from left back. Amazing. Look, if we don't go up, he won't be. Don't even contemplate it. He's not going to be our player next season. He will be at least a Championship player next season, I would have thought. I can't. Obviously, I'd assume very slim chance of him getting another contract at Everton, for goodness sake. So, he's sort of playing for his career, really, and playing very, I've got to say, playing very well. We'd love to sign him, but he won't be a League One player next season, Ben.
It's just that it's as Harry used to call them, the haves and the have-nots. If you're the have-nots and you're relying on the loan system, the perk is that you can get the player in
Yeah,
the first place, and then you have the ridiculous catch-22 of the player does well for you, and then you don't have much chance of getting them,
absolutely
which is
right.
great for the player and great
Look,
for the club loaning
I
them
think
out. But
great. You'd hope a great chance if we get and a big if at the moment. If we get promoted, I thought more than a great chance of signing them. But yeah, if we don't, no chance. And it's a shame 'cause I think he's making all. Okay, he's a lone player for goodness sake. He's making all the right noises. That he loves the club, fitted in well. Obviously, he's fitted in well with his performances. But I think you've nailed it. He'll be at least a championship player next season.
yeah, somewhere we'll find out.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, I know the boys did it, Rich, Mikey, and Joe on the last pod, but big news. So I've got to get your reaction on this.
Couldn't-
We won't repeat the kind of
I-
the
No.
general sort of surprise about
Yeah.
Paul Lambert's contract extension. People are always going on about a need for stability, and
No, I can see that.
a need
Yeah.
for a plan and all of this.
Yeah.
But let's
Why
just
do
get
it now?
let's just get your reaction on
He's done it. Evans has
Paul
done it.
Lambert
Sorry,
signing
Ben.
a contract extension
But
mid
but
mid season. Well, although Davey's done it, you even found the McCarthy extension
that's what I was going
weird
to say.
when that was done.
Yeah,
Look,
absolutely.
go ahead and talk to
Well,
me about Evan's strategy here.
yeah, no, Evans has done it before with McCarthy, hasn't he? I mean, we're all sort of fairly surprised at that one, where that was another mid-season extension. This was a strange one, given that either Lambert's very clever and manipulative, given his comments after the was it Portsmouth game, which were his comments where he basically threw his arm almost at the press conference, says, well, yeah, the players were good. The players came out second half and were brave on the ball, and then all of a sudden he sort of switches into demented mode and says, "But look, I might not even be here in January." It just very odd. I mean, you'd have thought that he was coming from obviously talks have been ongoing at that point. He's coming from a very strong position there when he could say anything he wanted to. He's got a 5-year contract extension. Personally, no, I'd have certainly waited. You could see this as a reward. Yes, we get straight back up. There's your reward. There's another 3 years on your contract. But I can understand stability, but there was no need. I mean, he had another. When was his contract? Like end of next season, I believe. His contract.
So it was 18 months
Why?
to go. Yeah.
Well, I don't get it. Because look, certainly on current form and on the back end of the games he had, the back end of last season, I mean, his stock is highly in the, his
David,
stock is
quick
highly. It's not really
comparison.
going up, is it?
There's another manager who's got that same deal at this time, and he manages Liverpool.
Okay, yeah, well, they're European and world champions, so I think we can probably
But
understand
Davey signed
that.
exactly the same deal about a week before, didn't he?
Mate, I just don't. I don't quite understand it. Yes, I understand the need for stability at the club, but no, come on, end of season, absolutely end of season for me.
Can we not spend any kind of positive on that? This is very odd time.
I don't see it. I just don't see any positive at all. I mean, Kieran, my youngest, is always championing. He said, "Oh, Dad, Neil Warnock would love to manage," and there was rumblings, one of them. Just before he signed the contract. I mean, Kieran coming in saying, "Dad, Neil Warnock." He's made all these comments on Twitter or whatever comments. He's asked about the Ipswich job, and he said he didn't actually mention Ipswich, did he? Of course he didn't, but he wouldn't rule anything out, And he was getting very excited, and then 2 or 3 days later, bizarre, mate. I find it totally bizarre. But there you go.
Just on the Warnock thing, it's amazing how things go completely full circle from we're bored, Mick. We're bored of the style of play and the direct stuff. One division down a couple of years later. Oh, come on, Warnock, then come and take it. We don't care about the long throws.
Not being funny,
corner.
Reportedly he's going to finally retire at the end of the season, but I'd have rather had 6 months of roller coaster with Warnock. But okay, you're
never
right.
Retire. Never retire.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
he'll have the Leeds job in, I don't know.
Well, he's got sort of everything covered. I think he's got a house in Cornwall, a house in the bloody Outer Hebrides, one in Leeds or Sheffield or something like that. He's got it all cornered, mate. He's got it all sorted. He look, getting back to Lambert, I just did not really. I can understand O'Neill's comments regarding stability and long-term stability, but come on, assess that at the end of the season, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and we've said before on here, people's greatest strengths are often their greatest weaknesses. I think Lambert's greatest strength is intensity, but sometimes very intense people come across as a bit weird with their with
Absolutely
their
weird.
comments
Well,
sometimes, don't they? But
that post match press conference was just totally bizarre, wasn't it? But look, there you go. Obviously, as I said, he was coming from a position of knowing and a position of strength there. But yeah, strange.
well, Dave, we're going to go off to Exeter, so let's just smarten everybody up here. So the idea was originally that this would be a league game against Fleetwood. Then the FA Cup
Intervene.
started, and it was
Yeah,
penciled in for the third round of the FA Cup. Ipswich obviously get knocked out, but Fleetwood get their way through. Ipswich get through to the third round of the EFL Leasing Trophy. So,
lost. Yeah.
so it's a free weekend for both Exeter and Ipswich. So this match would have been next week, but was moved forward to this week to fill up the free Saturday. So, Dave, that means Ipswich can play a cup tie on the first weekend of January to a lower division team
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
and
By the way,
lose.
so did Fleetwood play in the cup
Fleetwood
yesterday?
played Pompey, didn't they?
Missed it completely. How did it go? I
I've
assume
got
Pompey
no
won. Didn't
idea. I can do
they?
a little Google when we
Yeah,
go
okay.
through.
All right.
I
Come
think
on, a Fleetwood.
I think they were travelling, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, it's all very incestuous because as we get into our fixtures, Fleetwood go to Accrington next midweek, and then we play Accrington the following. It's all
That's
this.
what pretty much. That's what brought it home to me this morning when I was doing a bit of prep for the pod and thought, let's see what our upcoming games was. And I thought, Christ out. I know I bleat on about how long I've been supporting the town and how far we're falling. Our next game is a home game against Accrington Stanley, and it's not a cup game; it's a league game. And I was like, that just brought it home to me, really. Followed by an away defeat at Exeter yesterday. Oh Jesus!
It's all right. We're going to the mighty Oxford. They won the Milk Cup once, didn't they?
Ah, they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
Had
Yeah,
Dean
yeah.
Saunders and John Aldridge, Ray Houghton.
Caused havoc, mate. Absolute
Good
havoc.
team in the eight. Would Jim Smith have been?
Jim Smith, the bald,
Yeah. Oh, he died recently, didn't
recently
he?
departed, sadly
Yeah.
departed Jim Smith, the bald eagle, was indeed. Yeah.
I met Jim
Yeah.
Smith in the foyer of the
Oh,
Belster Brook
Belstead
Hotel. There we go. Smoking a cigar, having a lovely old time. He must have been working for Derby, I guess.
Yeah,
Then. Was he working for
potentially.
Derby? Did he work for Derby in the Premier League?
In a lot of jobs, then he sort of flitted between sort of management and then, obviously the manager, then sort of number two, and he was
See
obviously
if you can parlay this back to Exeter without skipping a beat. Go on.
sort of kind of quite a well-respected coach, which is where Towns would have been, which is transport down to Exeter yesterday.
Outstanding. No, you probably want to fly down to Exeter.
You probably would have flown, I'd have thought.
Well,
yeah.
and famously, we can link
that M4, M5. Oh, Ben.
Well,
Awful,
Dave,
awful.
you have done it because remember the famous Paul Hurst press conference was allegedly rushed at Exeter because they were flying from Exeter to get back. And maybe if they had caught the coach, he wouldn't have done that press conference and lost the dressing room.
Would have still
week
been in the
into his
championship.
tenure.
Would have probably been.
We'd be in the top six in the
We'd have probably been
championship.
edging the playoffs in the chat. Oh, but look, where's Rich and that bloody sliding doors moment? Get that in there.
Stick that one on.
Stick that in
get
there,
the
Rich.
coach. Anyway, we're off to Exeter, and obviously we applaud greatly, especially the people that travel from. I know a lot of the Southwest bunch.
I saw that. Yeah, of course. A bit easier for
they
them.
got a head
down
start there.
M5,
they?
yeah.
But
so
the guys travelling from Ipswich to. I mean, there's so many excuses for this one. Oh, we played them last year. Oh, it's the EFL.
Oh, it's a new year. We're skint.
Oh, there's been 20 games in the last thing, and still turn up. It is hashtag no normal, Dave.
Incredible support.
This was the reward for finishing second in Group I of the Leasing.com EFL Trophy. Remember, if they'd have won that group, they would have had a home game this weekend. They were the highest ranked team remaining in the competition. This is round 3. So 1, 2, 3 games from a potential trip to Wembley Stadium. As we know, famously, Ipswich, one of a few teams since the stadium switched over to have never played at the.
And it's literally a handful, isn't it? It's not many at
It's
all.
not many, no, but
No.
we still call it the new Wembley. When did it change? 2007?
Well, yeah. I mean, they knocked down the old one 2000, didn't they? One of our playoff was one of the last games there, wasn't it? So yeah, 2007, and then obviously Millennium and all over the place. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I think it was 2000.
It's not the new Wembley Stadium anymore, is it?
No, sadly not. No,
No.
it's 12 years old. No.
There we go. Well, Dave, here is your team. I know we have a lot of fun with Joe's Guinevere and Lambert team selection, but we do seem to have a thread from the last couple of teams through to this one. So it's three at the back again, Dave. Holly is your goalkeeper. It's Wilson, Enciala, and Wolfenden are the three centre halves. Your wing backs are Miles Kenlock, finds his way back in. Gwion Edwards is still holding the right wing back position. You have a midfield two of Cole Skews and Andre Dezelle. Ted Bishop in the 10 position, or wherever he chooses. Naturally, his inclination's going to be a bit further forward than
more advanced,
kind of dropping back in. And a front two of Will Keane and Freddie Sears. Talk to me about the system, Dave. Talk to me about that. I'm loath to call it a midfield three, because when you think about where Cole Skews is naturally going to go and where Ted Bishop is naturally going to go, they're not going to get very close together.
Poor Andre's a bit isolated, isn't he? There?
Right. Well, there you go. So talk to me about the front two, middle three, and the system as a whole.
Front two I like. I think the front two, I've always thought that a fully fit front two at this level, I'd preface, of Sears and Keane could really work. Signs of that will perhaps get to. Like Bishop, Bishop being back in there. Bishop, we've said all along, is the one player who can absolutely, run at his midfield, run at defenders, commit defenders like Bishop. Yeah, the back three there. I don't think. Did we say that we had the travelling sort of squad, didn't we? I don't think Chambers and Nolan actually travelled, did they? No. Okay, so read into that what you want. Okay, Kenlock left back. Edwards, still not convinced about Edwards. Edwards at right back. NCR, I think a lot of as much has been said about NCR as we can say, probably Wilson. It's a strong side. It's got to be the strongest side we've put out in this competition by a long way. So he's taken this. Okay, it was it's no midweek game, so he's obviously looked at this and potentially three games from Wembley, and he's picked a strong side there.
Dave,
like you said, my one concern there is Skews and Dezelle in the middle. Skews is obviously going to play further in front of the back, the back three, whatever, 3-4, and Bishop is going to be a bit advanced, leaving. I would suggest Dezelle there a little bit isolated, perhaps.
Do you hold the same view if you were playing a full-back and a winger? That you could use Kenlock and Garbutt. Can you use Kenlock and Garbutt in this system, and Kenlock could be the outside of the three centre halves, like we saw Knudsen do a few times, and have Garbutt ahead of him?
Kenlock's done that, hasn't he? Kenlock has done that. I've seen him do that, and didn't look particularly uncomfortable. Personally, I'd rather see Kenlock in a more sort of that sort of full back position, maybe a bit rigid. Kenlock a little bit full back position with Garbutt, playing left side in front of him personally.
Yeah, interesting. Just quickly, Dave, I'm not bringing back Two Little Ducks, I promise. But
good.
How many survivors do you think there are in the starting 11 from? I think it's August the 10th or something, 2018. The Paul Hurst trip to Exeter. How many starters do you reckon?
Wow. Do you know the answer?
Yeah, I've got the team.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say 2018. Wow.
So it's
okay. Hang on.
18 months, isn't it?
I would say Kenlock and Sears.
Not bad. It's Enciala and Sears. So let me just run you through. So this is the team that famously Paul Hurst, too many
chewed
Pauls, Paul Jewell, chewed out massively and kind of the look on Luke Chambers' face afterwards when he did it, kind of lost the dressing room before he'd even had
Yep.
any chance to get it.
So this was his second game, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they drew with Blackburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Go on.
okay. Bialkowski, Danasian, Enciala, Chambers, Knudsen, Ward, Chalobah, Nolan, Eden, Sears, Jackson. A couple of things jump out at that, Dave.
Side again, isn't it? Yeah.
But he could name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those players now, and they're players that have dropped down to League One that nobody has wanted to take with them, that were starting a championship season. As you know, this narrative that championship squad just in the end, the squad was just not good enough would kind of be intimated there. Dave, here is your Exeter team. How many of these do you recognise from League Two?
Mac, one.
Mac, he's not even going to start though. Maxted, Richardson, Dyer, Warren, Hartridge, Randall, Taylor, Atanga, Jay, Seymour, and Aozi or Ajozi. I don't know whether that's it's probably an African one. So we probably.
Who's on the bench? Ben?
We probably well, should we save that one for the 92nd minute?
I mean, they made. Look, let's put this in perspective. They made 10 changes.
Yes, this is not their first team. Yeah,
from the team that won at Forest Green. So let's put this in perspective as well.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, with footage and illegal VPNs and things of that nature, we've managed to see some of this, but again, we do applaud the people that went there. So we have been smartened up. But we will just do the goals, Dave. And the feeling was, as has been the case with so many Ipswich games, that the team changes so regularly that they never start games well in this period of rotation. Strangely, the narrative's gone from always starting games well in September to now never starting games well. But in fitting with last year, it appeared that the kind of best period of the half was they were just getting things going towards the end of the half, Dave, and they're going to go behind right on half time. From what you've seen, can you take me through this Ajosi goal?
This is the one I haven't really seen much of. Seemed like a common theme. Ball in from the right hand side. Pretty much seemed unmarked at the back post. Touch on it, ball in off the post. I haven't really seen this one. I've got to confess, I haven't really seen it. But it looked like crap marking again.
Well, I took a close look at it.
Or did we get a bit unlucky?
It's played back to the edge of the area. They're not too deep. They're not too high. They look fine. It's chested down and then put in quite quickly. I mean, not looking for mitigating factors. That's not quality. That's just he chests it and he puts it in an area. Exactly. Then there's the standard half header from a Town player on the near post. It's so tricky from the footage. I think it's Wolfenden gets a nick. And sadly, at the moment, our defence, if anything other than the ball goes in and we win the first header happens, then chaos ensues.
We're on the back foot.
They're on the back foot. And we've seen this before as well. Edwards didn't sign up for this. I have some sympathy for him when he's left there floundering, covering on the far post. Enciala is caught, you'd say, underneath the ball.
There's a lot of this. Go on. Yeah.
And Ajosi runs off him. I don't know whose man he is because I can't see too much from the footage I've seen, but it's not great. I think Holly is then sprawling, but at the end of the day,
off the post, doesn't it? It's
a very high percentage chance conceded by the defence before the keeper can even do anything. And in this instance, you can't even, because it's played to the edge of the area, you can't even hold up the keeper needs to push them out and command the 6-yard box.
No, from what I saw, of the bit I saw of it, the player puts a ball in a really decent area, really. And you say chaos ensues.
Yeah, chaos ensues. We're going to get a lot of questions on NCR, so
Yeah, okay.
we'll leave
Skip
that
over that. Yeah,
leave that for the minute, Dave.
yeah, yeah.
Into the second half, and the equaliser comes, and it's
Lovely goal. Lovely
a
goal.
lovely goal. It's one of those
I can do this one.
moments where you say, "Oh God, Will Keane could be really good,
Oh,
couldn't he?"
and as a combination, it's a bit of a hoofed ball from, you say, not very cultured, from the aforementioned Enciala, I think, pretty much from the right back position, I think. And looking at this closely, their defender seems to get, the theme of this seems to get caught under the ball. Like, he seems to be in front of Keane, and he sort of misjudges the flight, but the rest after that is brilliant. Keane just absolutely kills it on the half turn with his chest. Great skill, which turns him inside, slips the ball
Press
inside.
completely broken now. The
Oh,
line's done,
it's
isn't
really,
it?
it's
Yeah.
lovely. It's absolutely lovely. Pass it inside to Sears. In mitigation, the pitch looks bloody awful, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Sears plays a first time ball to the on running Keane, who basically doesn't break stride and rifles it in the far right corner across the keeper. Really good goal, really good goal. And I think I said at the time, Sears Keane combo. Good signs there. How they were for the rest of the game, we didn't see it. I don't really know, but certainly that was a very good sign, and perhaps shades of a little bit August September of Jackson Norwood combination, which we haven't seen much of lately.
Interesting.
Good goal, really good skill from Keane. I mean, Keane is a very highly technical player. I honestly think he is at that level, but perhaps frustrates sometimes. I don't know. Certainly doesn't punch his weight in the air, I don't think, considering the size of the guy. But you can't deny he's got a great touch, and that was a very, very good goal. Really good goal.
That's two really good finishes. The one against Lincoln was very similar, where
confident.
it's not about getting through and just smashing it as hard as you can. It's about the timing, hitting it early, right in the corner.
Yeah, it's a sight. Yeah,
as well. Really, really, really good goal.
So that's what, 5 or 6 goals, and seems like he's barely played, but I guess he has now. But good goal.
Yeah, and
you think, here we go, and then seemingly, I'm listening. I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it legally. I'm listening to it, and we seemingly we're on top, aren't we? I think Sears goes close afterwards. Again, this has I think been a feature of our play in recent games when we have got a goal and we have perhaps got on top of, a bit like Wickham. We just haven't pressed home any sort of advantage or we haven't pressed home any advantage at all, have we?
And peak Ipswich. I think it's going to go straight to penalties.
It's
afterwards, like the Carabao Cup game did in that August. Absolute peak Ipswich. No, we're not going to get penalties because, and it has to be a failed ex-Ipswich player. Well, we had this, and Troy Brown played in that
Exeter.
Exeter.
It was Troy Brown, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Yeah. He scored, did he not? He did. Yeah. It was. I mean, this is a bad goal. This for me is shades of the Wickham equaliser. Very, very similar. Slightly different angle, but it was a long hanging ball played in from. I think initially Holly makes a really good save from a free kick. We don't properly clear the corner. It's returned in deep hanging ball, and again Enciala seems to just mistime his jump or get under the ball again. He just doesn't. The size of the guy. He should be winning that shoulder to shoulder and heading it away. Mistimes his jump. Centre forward gets a flick. Having said that, aside from Enciala, we are so static. There's no reaction at all. No one moves at all. And neat enough finish. Martin nips in. He's that kind of player. And again, right in the corner and props in off the far post. I don't think you can blame Holly there. Just typical Ipswich, isn't it? Typical. It's almost a shrug in it. Oh well, there you go.
What is with the concentration as well? Because we were talking about the Wickham goal. And I mean, I think we both agreed that's probably worse because one, you set yourself and it comes absolutely miles. Well, with these two goals, you assume they've set themselves and then the ball's been moved. But come on, is that as complicated as it has to be?
The Wickham goal, you're right, was probably more disappointing. Where we know they've thrown Akinfenwa on, he'd already given us a warning. He'd won his very first ball a minute before, and we just don't get enough players around him. Yesterday. It's just frustrating because it's the non-reaction. So the ball drops. The defender there should be okay. The ball dropping in. I'm just going to.
Martin go, isn't it?
It is Wolfen. I'm just going to drop off a bit here. bits and pieces from Flick or whatever, and they just don't react at all.
Well, especially Dave, given the context, that could be a cautious manoeuvre. But in a game that's literally seconds from going to penalties, you just
penalties.
drop off and put it out for another corner, or whichever way. But yeah,
disappointing, mate. But so Ipswich, isn't it? Seen it all.
We'll come on to that in the questions, Dave.
Yeah.
But before we do that, we must say that no sooner has this game finished than presumably the EFL are sat there with their fixture computer, and this triggers the Oxford game, which was due on the November 16th international week that we cancelled, to be dropped in on Tuesday the 14th of January, which is
Tuesday week,
Tuesday week, which now adds another 3-game week into the schedule coming up for the rest of the season. So you have Accrington, Oxford, Tranmere. There's also 2 other 3-game weeks: Lincoln, Rotherham, Peterborough, which doesn't sound fun. Sunderland, Wimbledon, Burton. Happily, the final international break coincides. We're not happy if you're a Bury fan, but that coincides with the Bury weekend.
Oh, was it?
Okay. I don't know what, now Georgiou's gone, I don't know what the issue is still, whether they've got enough. Remember though, Dave, there is also the Fleetwood game that needs to be dropped in. So basically, between now and the end of the season, there's going to be 4 3-game weeks. So even though we're out of these cup competitions now,
it's still going to be busy. And
that doesn't, I'm not calling Easter a 3-game week either. That doesn't include Easter, where you do the Friday and then the Monday and the Saturday before. So this is still, Dave, a mad rush through these last games.
And this is resulting out of those games that were postponed in the autumn. And we've all at the time there was a feeling, oh well, we're top. Does it matter? We're 3 or 4 points clear at the top. We're 7 or 8 points clear of third or whatever we were. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, give us a break. Give us a let the players recharge their batteries. But I think we're going to pay. I think we've seen the consequences of that, and I think we're going to pay for that now. We're really going to pay for that. Oxford away, they're in good form. Well, have been.
The 4th,
week. Yeah, it's going to be. That's not going to be easy. We say it every week. I mean, almost this Accrington game Saturday. Good grief, Ben. If we don't win, if we don't beat Accrington, then I mean, there's only. I think there's only. Are we only 3 points ahead of 10th place Portsmouth? I mean, not get a win at Accrington, probably, looking at more than a good chance of a defeat at Oxford. You could be down in 10th, 7th, 8th, wherever.
That's always been the benchmark if it drops out of the playoffs, isn't it? That's always been the benchmark.
Just couldn't see it. Could you see it? Coming up to November, dropping out of the playoffs. Christ, we're not even going to drop out of the top 2. It's very worrying. Very, very worrying.
But accentuating the positive there.
I think
if you can beat Accrington and Tranmere, then 6 points from a 3-game week is always
probably going to be nudging. Going again, crazy league. You're probably going to be nudging top 2 again. I mean, what we should say. I mean, I'll go on this. I was going to do a bit on Bishop and stuff, but this will probably come out in the questions anyway.
No, do a bit on Bishop. Go.
Yeah, I mean, very positive Bishop from what we seen. From what sounded like yesterday, and I think some of the guys were saying who watched it. He was outstanding. He was the one that was prepared to, same old Bishop really, run with the ball, commit defenders, get into those pockets, get into those positions, break the line. Let's hope he can stay fit, because a fit Teddy Bishop at that level, if he can sustain that, is just going to be such an asset for us.
Dave, and look at the other teams in this.
Because there's no other. We haven't got any other player like him.
Oh, and to my point, look at the other teams in this division. In the Championship, you'll get quite a handful of teams that can play through you. Whereas in this league, it's 90% solid players, and then they have players who can do something on their own, i.e. big guys, dribblers, or someone with good set plays or whatnot. So when you look at people like Will Keane, who can, do a chest, do a turn like he did yesterday, or Bishop, who can do a dribble, Garbutt, who can get forward and cross.
You've got that extra.
Strikes me as it's that straightforward if you can defend corners and be
Well, yeah,
vaguely
that's all nullified if you can't.
be vaguely solid.
But someone hit it. Someone knocked it on the nailed it the other day. I was listening to some. I think perhaps it was a phone in, one of the phone-ins on Suffolk when they said about maybe it been Phil Ham. Actually, it was Phil Ham yesterday in the Mark Murphy pre-match thing, saying about Bishop. He said, "Well, don't forget, it was 5 seasons ago when Bishop, basically burst onto the scene. He was 18 then. 2014, 15." And you got comments like, after that great win at, the J-Tab bullet header against Borough and stuff, and Karanka coming off and said, 18-year-old basically ran the game. You sort of forget how good he was. He's barely played. Since then, he's barely played. So, okay, you'd think he's got he's only 23. He's got a fair bit still in the tank to give if he can reach that level again.
He doesn't have to reach that level even.
But
he's in League One now, so
right, okay, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, quite.
Look, fingers crossed. Let's hope, because like I said, he will be a real asset.
Let's do some questions then, Dave. And we would just always preface these by saying Twitter is not the real world, but Twitter has been
not necessarily representative.
Yeah, has been quite negative this past 4 or 5 weeks, but just a cross section. This is Rob Crabwalk. Why do you think Lambert dodged the interview after the match?
I don't know, really. He's put Taylor out. Taylor's been out before. I didn't really think too much into that. I thought maybe it's not is there any reason? Maybe it's not a league game. It's just I wouldn't say meaningless, an EFL Cup tie that perhaps the same parameters don't apply to managers giving an interview. I've nothing to add to that, really.
No. Andy Kidd, have we now gone from the worst Championship side to a mid to bottom League One team?
On current form, absolutely, haven't we? Yeah, we have. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is the well-worn thread of squad rotation and having a settled side, and as we've said before in the past few weeks, building up partnerships within the side. Currently you can't say that we're not. I mean, current form, I think we're bottom of the division with a look earlier on with Blackpool, I think.
Well, is that is that a 6-game form table?
I think it's 6.
Yeah.
I was looking. I think it was 5. I was looking at BBC site. I think it's 5. So we've drawn 2, lost 3. So Blackpool, there are others there are other. Every other team at least had a win and a draw.
Oh, the points per game is dreadful though. No one's anywhere near 2.
Oh no,
is there? No, for the whole division.
It's mental. Teams build up. I honestly thought Peterborough a month ago were going to steamroller it because the glut of goals they were scoring and stuff like that. They're Madison, Easy, Tony. I thought, but they've just had three defeats on the bounce. I think
it's 6th place. Someone will get in the playoffs with like 72 or something.
It's not going to be
horribly low. It's
not going to be that high. And look, let's face it. Again, you think if this horrible run we've had. We're still 3 points behind second with a game in
80
hand.
points, Dave. 80. Yeah, and you probably finished second.
Yeah. So look, it shouldn't be too.
Unless, like you say, unless a Rotherham win 7 on the trot or
any team that puts any sort of form together now will stands more than a very good chance. You're right. A streak of about 5 or 6 winning games, you're probably not going to be caught. It's mad. Yeah.
David asks, if we had a manager with a clear plan like Evans or Ainsworth, where do you think we would be in the league?
I don't know. It's hard. I mean, you'd think, a man with a plan, team managers like Evans and Ainsworth, I'd suggest, aren't dealing with such a perceived to be talented squad of players. So, yeah, they are. I think this is a question earlier. They are getting, the best out of the sum of the parts they've got. Look, we just need to, as I said, he just needs to find his best 11, his best 13, whatever, and stick with it. Because I mean, look, looking at it now, apart from Vincent Young, pretty much, am I right in this? Someone will shoot me down. Everyone's fit, aren't they? Pretty much. I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
Squad wise,
assuming Chambers and Nolan is just precaution.
Vincent, look. I mean, again, this is so Ipswich, isn't it? You find a nugget like Vincent Young, and he wasn't he? Let's face it, 500,000. I always go as far as to say, had he stayed fit, had he kept that form, had we kept our form, we might have even been struggling to hold on to him now, for Christ's sake. He was that good, that good. All right, defensively, maybe a little bit naive, but going forward, he just added a completely different dimension to our play. And you just can't legislate, someone who's going to, tear his groin and going to be out for 3 months. I mean, it's just, we don't have the best luck with injuries, do we? We just don't. It's such a shame. But again, he's got to come back. Yes, it's going to take a while for him to get up to speed, but crikey, again, if he can.
Dave, the devil's advocate says it's easier to cope with injuries when a club has a pattern of play.
Yes, of course.
That's established that other players can then come into.
And it's odd, isn't it? It's really odd, Ben, that ever since, beginning of November, which coincides, we haven't won since the 5th of November, which is that's his first game he missed. I think he went off. Did he start against Southend?
Dave, did you see the tweet that was the goal difference per minute for League One players? So
he's top, isn't he?
And he was top for the division, wasn't he?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just so frustrating. We've seen it all in the previous seasons. Bloody McGoldrick and these crucial players. Even the lone players, Fraser, Johnny Williams to a degree. These crucial players. We just lose them for spate of the season, don't we? I don't know.
Too reliant though, Dave.
Well, yeah, too reliant. Yeah. Be interesting to see. Well, you see it. Yeah, you see it. I think did you comment that Pookie's just moving it to one side. Pookie's now done his hamstring. This is typical of Norwich. Pookie does his hamstring, plays an untried 18-year-old away at Preston, scores a hat trick.
Stop it. Rob Farmer. This is an interesting one actually because it's general, but I think there's something in it. He says, "How did we become so consistently good at disappointing our fans?" Is there
really good? That's a really good comment. I saw that.
Is there another club?
No.
I know there's Coventry who are, never been finished above 8th or something in whatever division and out of the stadium. But is there another club that kind of promises so much, hypes you up, teases you, has a little tickle, but then doesn't deliver?
Can't be. There can't be, Ben.
Why is that?
Honestly, I don't know what it is. I don't know. And it's been, and you can point to that. Even back to the, I know I don't hate harping back, and I should. Even back to the Robson era, you can point at bits like that. Ipswich will always find a way. They'll always find a way just to not quite mate, or not quite do it, not quite make it, not quite. I don't know. And I think we've spoken about really big games that are perceived as big in the last few seasons.
Yeah,
Bournemouth Road. You go with great expect, and Wickham, we're robbed against Wickham perhaps. So Wickham perhaps was the last one, top 2, back end of November, that evening game, and you come away thinking, 0-0, we should have, if only we'd have won. But I don't know. There can't be any other team. That managed. You're right. Is a good, consistently disappoint their fans.
And I think you say about harking back. I think that is still somewhat of an issue, that expectations were maybe, can I use the word distorted by the amazing periods that we've had before,
Okay, and punch. Don't forget, you're punching, so far punching above your weight as a club, for goodness sake. Yeah. And look, I think I've said before on the pod, but I've been reminiscing that I still see my old schoolmates now, and people I went to football with, and went to the games with then, and we all as one say, yeah, we just thought it'd be, we just thought it'd go on forever, really. You never thought of anything different, just took it all for granted, really. And now we're probably, I think we're lower than obviously lower than we should be. We are now perhaps at best a mid to lower table championship club. Sadly, that's where we are. Although we're not, but that's where we perhaps should be.
Well, it's not even to do with club size anymore now. It's if you don't have Premier League money or parachute money, you are one of the other 60,
and I don't
compared
like
to the top 32.
And I don't like to keep harping about them up the road. I mentioned them once already, but wouldn't you rather have that? People saying to me, Norwich are coming down, and I sort of said, well, wouldn't you, laughing? I said, well, wouldn't you rather have that? I mean, what great excitement, you're going to come. Okay, you're going to come down
again, Dave,
with all that money, but look, next season you're going to be up and around the championship top 2, probably romp it next, if depending on the players you hang on to. And you're going to have another season at Premier League level, and you're going to have your moments beating Man City, for Christ's sake,
Yeah, we're still talking about drawing with Man United,
I know.
in the first Premier League
Yeah.
season. So,
and
again, to that point, I don't know what the stat is, but I think since Lambert was there, they've had either Premier League money, parachute money, or the year where Maddison and Murphy left every season. So it's you're either the haves or the haves or the
I know, and
haves or
you
the
can't knock
have-nots
them for
now,
that.
aren't you?
Fair play to them. I mean, and they've got this other kid now that looks like he's been touted. What, Cantwell? He's only had what season? Well, barely a season, has it? Now been touted what 30 million move to Man U and stuff. Yeah, yeah, I get you like that. I try not to. I shouldn't talk and
Yeah.
think about it. Get it out.
Will asks, what positives can we take from today's game, Dave? I'm thinking about a Will Keane goal. I'm thinking about minutes for Bishop.
All minutes for Sears. I think all of the above, really. Yeah,
Same
all of the above.
system for.
I think so. I think, and it sounded like Kenlock was. I know it's Exeter, but it sounded like Kenlock was. I tell you, he was a good summariser yesterday. J Tab on Radio Suffolk summarised, and he came across pretty well, I thought. And he was really bigging up Kenlock and saying, Kenlock was doing really well. But no, obviously, I'll touch on it really. The biggest plus point for me was 70 odd minutes for Bishop.
Paul asks, are we more angry because of the strength of the team selected, or is it more just that Exeter are a League Two team?
I think I'm not going to say. I can't start the new year with a bit of both, but but it is, isn't it? Yeah, one, the strength of the team, two, Exeter, and I think also two, the perceived strength of the Exeter team. If they've made 10 changes, well, I'm sorry that you'd assume that's very much there. Not that I know.
And to add, Dave,
very much their second string.
Manner of defeat, i.e., 2 set play, second ball goals, and losing in the 92nd minute to a player from a period in your club's history where you had some money, and you had the advantage, and you fiddled it all away.
And this is all Ipswich. You said that. Had we won our group, would we still potentially have had a home game?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
that was probably, but no, because that would have been Pete. Well, okay, we wouldn't have played Peterborough away, would we? Because Peterborough was
sorry, yeah.
Right, yeah. But even if you go back to that last game, that was a freak goal. The goal at Colchester, that was a Jason Cundy type goal, wasn't it? Oh, God's sake, So, yeah, just a shame. And all right, people are saying we don't need this fixture congestion, and from what you've said, these 4 or 5 3-game weeks is potentially
it's going to be 4 now, yeah, plus 4. Easter.
Look, if we get promoted, all this will be forgotten. If we don't, you'd love the day out at Wembley like Sunderland and Portsmouth, because we would have done.
Oh, it's just ticking off these ridiculous hoodoos, isn't it? And that would have been another one.
Yeah, Dave,
we may finish the season at Wembley, but oh God, then what's the most Ipswich possible thing that can happen in a playoff at Wembley? Sorry, we've been very, very cynical today, Dave, aren't we?
Come on.
Right, we got to do Toto now because there's 2 questions in a row. Lee asks Nsiala why, probably a bit harsh. Hyperspace 50 asks, maybe now we're out of this competition, Toto can drop down to the under 23s. I think I'm not going to use the term scapegoat, but he was obviously there floundering a bit for both of the goals, and it looks like a lot of ire has been drawn towards Toto. Where does he stand now?
It's an odd one. He reminds me, and I shouldn't use him in the same breath, really, because we look at the career he had. But he reminds me of a very early Titus Bramble at Ipswich to a degree, where perhaps I'm doing a terrible disservice. Obviously, totally different levels.
You're talking about just the defensive concentration.
Just perhaps exactly right, the defensive concentration. So when he's got time on the ball and he's got time to play, not great. Potentially not that great. Almost rabbit in headlights. However, some of his last ditch defending, which perhaps has been as a result of his own poor concentration.
They used to say that about Sol Campbell. They used to say he would get in the wrong spot, but he was such a beast that he could get himself out of it.
Some of the challenges, some of the blocks I've seen him this season, more than one game, has been absolutely outstanding. But a lot of that is due to his initial poor defensive awareness and poor concentration. I think it's just defensive awareness. He just doesn't seem to switch on, does he? Given his not being that comfortable on the ball, he is a good. he's a scapegoat. He's an ideal scapegoat. Yeah.
In the interest of balance, we have on this podcast said that Wolfenden did let his man go.
Oh no, he did
for the second goal. So we're not just singling out
Yeah,
Toto here.
Wolfen's a bit of the opposite actually. Wolfen, let's face it, looks great on the
Good
ball,
on the ball,
but then perhaps not as physically imposing as Enciala. But yeah, I think Wolfen then Wolfen will develop that. You think he'll develop that. He's a big lad, but he'll develop that physicality and stuff. But I honestly think with Enciala, it's just general defensive awareness. It just switches off, doesn't it?
Is that solvable?
Um,
Because Bramble, you speak about, benefited greatly from playing next to Tony Mowbray, didn't he?
and John McGreal and Herman Aridas. I mean, you're talking different.
Totally different levels, isn't it?
It's not. Yeah. No, totally different levels. Yeah.
Super Fran says that was one of the best creative performances of the season from Teddy today. How should we deploy him moving forward to get the best out of him? As a 10, wide forward, central midfield, somewhere else. I'm tending to fall on the central. I just think I've said it since before the damn season started about this outnumbered in midfield and these slogs, just purely from the evidence of the Accrington FA Cup game.
Yeah.
I just think as a number 10 with two forwards, like you say, you're just going to be exposed in these muddy, horrible.
No, I sort of agree. I think a more proactive central midfield role would suit him.
Anything in that kind of front left 4-3-3 role, or I mean, I know we seem to just not play 4-2-3-1 now, or that side of a 4-2-3-1.
Sure, exactly. I like to see if he's playing that wide. I like to see a player with a bit more perhaps pace than Bishop. Bishop Bishop just beats his men by he's just clever, isn't he? He'll drop his shoulder and he's got
it's the first second and a half when he receives the ball when he beats the man, isn't it?
He manipulates the ball really well. So no, I'd prefer him to play centrally. But look, fingers crossed the lad stays fit and he just if he can and he develops more and more towards the end of the season because he could be the key.
Interesting,
but not putting too much pressure on the boy.
Okay, Matthew says, how does the team get a confidence back after a result like that? A game like that should have been a chance to get out of the downward spiral.
I don't know. I mean, look, it's an EFL game. Is it not meaningless as such, but is it going to have any great effect on the confidence? I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's the overall run, not just that particular game. I'd say the Lincoln game was the one perhaps that really potentially knocked us out of our stride really. But I think we should just bounce. Look, Accrington at home, built up now to be a big game. Need those 3 points. They should just go out with the right attitude.
Dave, you're looking at it possibly. The goalkeeper will change. No, people are not going to like to hear this.
No, I don't think he will.
Okay, we'll see.
Hopefully, he's got to stick with. Let's face it, Norris. I didn't mind Norris. I don't actually think there's a great deal between them, but certainly I think the Wickham goal. Okay, the ball came a long way, and and what was the goal at Lincoln, wasn't it? Lincoln, horrible goals.
But the point I was going to make, Dave, is that potentially there could be 5 changes between. I'm talking about the confidence. And yeah, you said about Norwood Jackson. You've now got 2 entirely different front twos that are both perfectly serviceable.
Oh, there'll be more change. I mean,
you've got Downs as well.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think for the league game, Downs would come in. Wouldn't surprise me if Norwood and Jackson were back in again. So there's your 3. Chambers, if fit.
Garbett will play wing back.
Garbett will play. So there's 4. Yeah, you're right. There's going to be 4 or 5 changes at least. Does Zell stick in there? Probably. Or Downs will be back. So yeah, you'd think another 4 or 5 changes. And I can sort of for that game, I could sort of get that. Yesterday was a good exercise. You wanted to win the game, but as to harp on, Bishop got minutes, Sears got minutes, Keane got more minutes, Kenlock played. So look, let's move on from there.
FPL Tractor asks, how did we survive that run with only 2 in central midfield? I assume he's talking about earlier in the season. Seems crazy now. Were we quicker to get the ball forward or wide? I think he's answered his own question there, hasn't he?
I think so. Surfaces were better. Perhaps slightly easier to play on earlier in the season as well. I don't know. Yeah, and again, Vincent Young was there from September and end of August onwards as well. So
Yeah. So, and it's a Mick McCarthy answer again. If your midfield is set up to really not be creative and not have to play through. But I suppose to his question, they still had to defend, didn't they?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Muller asks, how many goals would Will Keane score between now and the end of the season if he played for 90 minutes every week? This probably should I should have researched this one, shouldn't I? How many has he got, Dave?
I mean, he's either got 5 or 6, hasn't he? Yeah, yeah. He's
I
either got
I would
5 or
think
6.
he'd be a goal in every 2.5 games, wouldn't he?
Yeah, yeah. So his current rate, that would take him to teens, wouldn't it?
Yeah. If
Yeah,
there's
13,
what
14.
is it, 21,
Mm.
22?
Yeah, round about there.
Yeah.
Interesting what he does now. Very interesting what he does now. He has got obviously Jackson Norwood fit and also Keane and Sears fit. I always thought, as I said earlier on the pod, that Keane and Sears could be quite reasonable at this level. Again, I didn't see the whole game yesterday, so I'm not sure. Perhaps Joe, one of the guys, can fill us in. I'm not sure. Apart from that brilliant cameo for the goal, for the combination, I'm not sure how they complemented each other for the rest of the game. I mean, there was normal talk on Twitter that the ball doesn't stick with first half, the ball doesn't stick with Keane, or Keane doesn't punch his weight in the air, which I don't think perhaps he does for a 6'2" or whatever he is. But yeah, it'd be interesting to find out overall how that worked yesterday, other than that one goal.
Okay. That will do for the question. Sorry if you tweeted in and we didn't ask your question. As always, we thoroughly appreciate every single one of them. So coming up, Dave, Accrington now, who are a little bit of a bogey team, aren't they? Lost twice to them in 2019 in the Cup. Well, both in embarrassing circumstances in the Cup and live on Sky. They have
We owe
5
them.
wins, 2 draws, and a defeat in the last 8. As I mentioned earlier in the pod, they are off to Fleetwood in midweek ahead of visiting us.
They are in some form. Yeah.
Colby Bishop scored both goals in the last game. He's their top goal scorer, which also saw 2 red cards, one for Ross Sykes and one for Armando Dobra. I mean, you can parlay this into Oxford and then Tranmere because it's a 3-game week, but we will have other shows on that. So just talk to me about the next load of games, Dave, and just focusing on that Accrington one, really.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, Accrington home game, although they are in good form, we certainly owe them. Let's get, what would set everything back up here is a convincing home win, not a 1-0 shitstorm win. Do you know what I mean? Shithouse win. A good 2 or 3 goals, and just give the whole place a lift, give the team some confidence, especially going into that tricky away midweek game at Oxford. And then, looking at it, Tranmere away, okay, did very well in the Cup yesterday. 3-0 down at half-time at Watford, came back and drew 3-3.
There you go. Throw a replay into their schedule as well.
They've got a replay. They've got a replay in there somewhere. Okay, Lincoln home, where we certainly owe them one. And then Rotherham away. So 2 difficult away games in the mix there in January, isn't it now? Rotherham flying. I think on a 3-game winning run, which is, you said it, just a 3-game winning run has taken them to second now. Already beating us at home, looked quite organised when we played them at home, I thought. Obviously beat us 2-0. And Oxford away, well, certainly got goals in them. And again, in a good run of form. So big, I say it every week. Big important game coming up Saturday. Convincing win, and get some confidence back, and we're up and running again.
And the general complaint, Dave, all about the rotation and different teams now and cups and all of that. Cup football is done. It's completely finished. It is still going to be a thrash, as we said, 4 3-game weeks and Easter. But are you thinking now that the fans might actually be right on this now? Same system. Okay, you're going to have to rotate in 3-game weeks. Of course, these guys can't.
And you're going to have suspensions.
No one's going to play every one of those games.
You're going to have suspensions. But look, let's have 1 or 2 rotations, not 4 or 5 every game. Admittedly, I think it'll, because of the nature of yesterday's game and Saturday's game, yes, we will see that come Saturday. But no, not for every game now. No. Interesting. And a fully, other than Vincent Young, no excuses really. A fully fit squad there as well.
When is Vincent Young back?
February at the earliest, I think. It's a nasty one there. He tore his groin. So usually that means like best part of a hernia. Yeah, it's not good. Not a good injury. No, can't rush that. I don't think.
No, but we can rush to the end of this podcast, Dave, because I think we are all done. I'm not sure we're thinking. I had a chat with Rich. Given that there's possibly another 4 midweek games that will probably just follow the games up for the rest of the season. Now there should be enough. We'll still be hammering out the podcasts 2 a week for most weeks there. So
yeah.
We'll just check the social media, and it is tricky. We try our best here to keep everything moving, and this division is just an absolute
Can you imagine if it was just
killer,
Can you imagine if it was just me and you? We'd never fit any proper work in. It'd just be
my God,
podding every day. The guys have they got Rich and Rich, Joe, Mikey, Seb, Craig.
the additions of Seb and Craig have helped.
Really good, really good. And watch this space. I did speak to Stats. Stats, my building work's now done. Stats building work, or phase one of Stat Towers. Phase 1 of Stat Towers, I think, is done. So there is another this week in ITFC history in the pipeline. Promise, it will be out.
And I will say this vaguely tongue-in-cheek: any Twitter feuds that Stat is involved in now or in the future do not represent the opinions of the Blue Monday podcast. He runs his own Twitter, so we'll leave that there. There's been some amusing stuff going on online. We'll leave it there, Dave, shall we?
Leave it there, mate.
Leave it there.
Dave, have a lovely day back at work tomorrow, Ben.
I'm going to work this. I'm going to go to Marlow and do some piano playing and some singing anyway this afternoon. So the grind never stops, David, does it?
Yeah. All right, mate.
Lovely to speak to you as always, my friend. Where can we find you on Twitter?
At David Diamond 3.
And as always, follow us at Blue Monday ITFC on Twitter. You will have noticed we've moved the YouTube videos across to a new dedicated Blue Monday page. It was getting a bit confused because I still do championship stuff down that YouTube, and it would get a bit confusing that way.
Sorry, Ben. On that note, got to ask you, Wayne Rooney, how was it? I must say, I didn't see your summary.
Midfield, bent some free kicks in. Ben Rama's a lot better. It is what
How many did he put an extra 5,000 on the gate or not? What was the crowd there?
10,000, probably 27,000. Yeah.
No, was it really? I didn't see.
And it was a Sky game. And we've also started off, Dave, the Instagram page.
Yes.
Blue Monday team Instagram.
Yeah,
so we
worked that out. Yeah, but
Dave will post a picture on there probably.
Yeah, because I will.
I don't know. Yeah. In the next 5 years when he's
2023.
Who will be the manager then, though?
Oh no. Luke Chambers. No, sorry.
Right, someone clip that because that will definitely happen.
Sorry, guys.
That will definitely happen. Yeah. Right, Dave, say goodbye.
Crap.